In the large, the American public does not look much different today from how it looked in the 1970s, long before the polarization narrative took hold. If we look at how Americans classify themselves ideologically, we see that about 40% call themselves moderates today, the same figure as in 1976 when the Democratic candidate was Jimmy Carter, a born-again Southern moderate, and the Republican candidate was Jerry Ford, a Republican moderate from Michigan. Alternatively, if we look at how Americans position themselves on specific issues, we find that they position themselves in the middle of the scale as opposed to favoring either maximal or minimal government activity. On healthcare, for example, people favor something midway between a government takeover of the healthcare system and leaving everything to private insurance companies. This preference for middle outcomes holds true even on contentious issues like abortion. Still another alternative, if we look at how people classify themselves in partisan terms, we see that although the Democrats have lost adherents over time, the Republicans have not gained them. The big growth category is independents, people who do not adhere to either party. Why then does 75% of the country think that we have become more polarized? The answer is because the political class has. The political class consists of office seekers, donors, party and issue activists, partisan political commentators. People like this are perhaps 15% of the population. The media portray them as representative of the citizenry at large, but they are not. They are unrepresentative, and they have polarized. Such people are abnormal. They are not like the general public, but opinion journalists and partisan commentators portray them as normal, giving us an inaccurate picture of American political life. Rather than polarization, it's better to think of what has happened in the United States as sorting. At one time, the parties were big tents. We had liberal Republicans, we had conservative Democrats, we could have bipartisanship in Congress because sometimes some Republicans agreed more with Democrats than they agreed with other Republicans, and sometimes Democrats agreed more with Republicans than they did with other Democrats. No more. The Democrats are now a liberal party, the Republicans are now a conservative party. To some extent, this sorting has also occurred in the general public, but not nearly to the same extent as in the political class. Why are these developments problematic? Well, the problem is we only have two parties. Most other democracies have more than two parties. We are a larger, more heterogeneous democracy than most others, so you'd think we'd need even more parties to represent our diversity, but we only have two. Public opinion studies find three clusters of issues: economic and social welfare issues, foreign policy and defense issues, and cultural issues. To keep things simple, let's say there are only two positions on each cluster: a preference for government control or free markets on economic issues, a cautious or assertive stance on foreign and defense issues, and a progressive or traditional stance on cultural issues. So there are 8 possible platforms a party could propose. The contemporary Democratic Party offers Platform 1, and the contemporary Republican Party offers Platform 8. But two sizes don't fit all in a country like ours. Traditional New Deal Democrats would prefer Platform 6. Libertarians might prefer Platform 3. Populists might prefer Platform 2. Other Americans would make still different choices. Before the parties were so well sorted, candidates offered voters additional possibilities like these, but not today. Consequently, many voters have to choose between two parties, each of which is wrong on at least one of the issue clusters. The result is that many Americans are not happy with the way the party system represents them. Strong partisans are pretty happy with the system, but less strong partisans and independents, not so much. In a multi-party system, one party rarely wins enough seats to govern by itself. Consequently, they have to form coalitions. This forces each government to compromise. But in the United States, if you take turnout into account, each party has about a third of the electorate, so you win the election by capturing a majority of the independents. But having won, if you then govern according to the priorities and positions of your base, you alienate the independents who elected you, and you lose the next election. I call this tendency overreach, and it helps to explain the unstable majorities that have characterized recent American political life. The fact that the parties are so evenly matched makes the situation much worse. As my colleague Francis Lee has explained, the congressional parties no longer regard legislating as their primary responsibility. Rather, doing whatever it takes to win a majority in the next election is their ultimate goal. To that end, neither party wants to solve a problem if keeping the issue alive is electorally advantageous. In too many cases, a party opposes a policy simply because the other party proposed it. Our current gridlock and stalemate are the consequence, and our country is the poorer for it.